See how the same lyrics different notes. So pick one. I'm doing four. Yeah. This would be for like if we had more people across here, then everybody could play a different one.
Good morning, people.
Hello.
Good morning, people.
Greetings.
Hey, aren't you missing part of your crew? All right. Good morning, people.
Buenos.
And happy Easter to you. Welcome to Common Thread. Quick, before we begin, a few weeks ago, we joined with, wait a minute, where'd that go? Yep. A few weeks ago, we joined with the folks at Ridge Road and the Corinne congregation, and we assembled 20,000 meals for Rise Against Hunger. It was our first time doing it. We'd never done it before. We learned a lot, and according to everything I've heard back, it seems like something we will want to do again. But anyway, this week, Trey forwarded me an email that said that our meals went out last week, and they went to the Philippines, where there has been a, is Philippines plural or singular? Plural. There has been or, pardon? Has. There has been? You sure it's not have been? Because the Philippines, all of them have had, well anyway, there has been a steady stream of natural disasters going on there. And so there's an organization there called Convoy of Hope, and they're the folks that Ridge Road resources because they're the on-the-ground group. Well, they have systems in place to address what's really become kind of a high rate of either mal or undernourishment. So I thought you'd want to know the meals that we put together have gone out. They are being eaten probably today. So that's a good thing. So welcome. Welcome to Common Thread. Welcome to Easter morning. Special welcome if you're a newcomer. We'd like to, in a low-pressure way, welcome you. If you're tuning in online, we created a welcome email. If you go to our website /newcomer, we will send it to you. And in there is, if you decide you'd like to, a chance to get to meet some folks in the community. So here's our reminder every week. If you're having some rough days, let somebody know, please. You can either do that by just talking to somebody, or you can go to the website /soul, how's your soul, and the hallmark of a healthy community, we stand with one another on our rough days. So please do that. Let's say together, as we do each week, if you are here, you belong. And we are, every one of us, carriers of the inner light. And we are, every one of us, carriers of divine breath. So again, it is Easter. In the past few months, Joe has been teaching us a bunch of songs, each one designed to teach us something about how communities sing together. And by the way, I get to see a little bit of what Joe does to make this happen. It is not easy to introduce a new song. The stuff that he introduces up here, the stuff, pedagogical steps, remember that word? Yeah, it's a thing. So anyway, today no learning. Today we're just going to sing what we have learned, so let's do it with gusto. Joe, come on up.
All right.
Oh, you're already up.
I'm already up.
All right.
Yes, sir. That's much better. So I think for this song, we need some additional instrumentation. It looks like, I believe my folks over here need cowbells.
Oh, they've got them. They're all lined up with the cowbells.
Oh, well. Sure. All right. All right.
Get your own shakers, sir.
You got them? All right, fantastic. You got 4. Look at that. Fantastic. All right, guys. So go ahead and take that cowbell and wrap it in your towel. You can set your finger symbols aside. You actually only need, you each need one.
Other way. There you go.
There we go. All right. Now, boys, look up here at me. Look up here at me. Go ahead and set your finger symbols to the side. Pick up your cowbell and wrap the cowbell with the towel. There you go. Perfect. And now we're ready. Now, my instrument, they're working. I put in fresh batteries, so, you know, it's all good. The beginning of this song really teaches you everything. If this is your first time, the opening is going to teach you everything you need to know to sing this song. I'll sing a phrase, you sing it back to me. We do that with 3 different phrases slowly, and then we pick up the tempo and we again sing. I'll sing different words. You'll continue to sing the phrases that you sang at the beginning. So it's really pretty straightforward. Boys, you've got the beat on when we get started. Perfect. Mastered it, right? And you guys are on 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, actually 3, 4. And if you each hold one of those jingle taps, those blue and red things, you each get one. Yep. You each take one. Or actually, I didn't realize. Okay. So then if you hold it and just tap your hand like this. 1, 2, 3. But not that. Do it the other way. Do it. In other words, use your free hand. Use your free hand to tap the holding other way. This way. This way. That'll hurt after a while. Like, how do I explain this? Like this. If you're
Like this. Hold it in your flat hand, and it's safe for you all, and then you hit your hand.
gently. Doesn't take a lot. It's kind of like a cowbell. Doesn't take a lot. There it is. Perfect. A symphony. All right. Wonderful.
Sorry.
But perfect. My assistant. Let's hear from my assistant. Here we go. All right, Gene.
Grateful songs we sing this morning, hallelujah. New life all around transforming, hallelujah. God of sky and trees and stars, hallelujah. Bearing fruit within our hearts, hallelujah. We are seeing with each breath, hallelujah. Real growth as we welcome death, hallelujah. Once we die to needless strife, hallelujah. The path is clear to our new life, hallelujah. Divine in all we see, hallelujah. Above in you, here in me, hallelujah. Letting go of selfish ways, hallelujah. We are each
more. And finish. Yeah.
Well done.
Lovely. Lovely, lovely. All right. We can set down our mallets and our instruments for this next song. This is simply instrumental. This is one we've been singing for a while. This is Antiphonal Kyrie. And this song similarly has a lot of echoing in it. Sorry. The input on my guitar side is really low.
No, it's like distorting that.
Yeah, I don't know why. Okay. Those are coming, I promise. I promise, but maybe we need to put them down for now. Antiphonal finger cymbals. Maybe that's the Lord have mercy part. All right. Where were I? Antiphonal Kyrie. So in this song it has two parts. The first part I'll sing and you echo it right back to me. The middle section we sing together. And then the last part is like the first where you will echo me. Okay? This is Antiphonal Kyrie. Very nice. Very nice. All right. This is one we haven't sung in a little bit. Love, Love, Love. See, this I think I can take away and change guitars. Okay. So this is a song we've been singing for quite a while, and it's very accessible, so I hope we can join in and have some fun with it. On this song, we have, you guys have finger cymbals. Can we bring the drums over to these guys? Yeah. Can we bring the drums over to those guys? So guys, your pattern is just 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Okay? Finger cymbals. You guys know when to play? You play on 8. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Masters of their domain. All right, here we go. All right, we'll all play one time through before the singing starts. 1, 2, here we go. Here we go. Love, 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 love. The message in our word is love. Love your neighbor as your brother. Love, love, love. Joy, 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 joy. The message in our word is joy. Joy that fills to overflowing. Joy, joy, joy. Bring it down. Peace, 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 peace. The message in our word is peace. Peace that passes understanding. Peace, peace, peace. Here we go. Love, 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 love. The message in our word is love. Love your neighbor as your brother. Love, love. One more time. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Yeah.
Good job on the
Well,
finger chime.
indeed. Very nicely done. Very nicely done. All right, we are shifting to Day by Day. This is from the musical Godspell. Has a great message. Gentlemen, you are back on cowbells. Okay? And you guys are back on jingle taps, those little ringy-dingy things. We got maracas and other things around. I'm sure you all will do just great. So that puts the cowboys, you guys are right on the beat again. 1, 2, 3, 4. There it is. Excellent. Jingle taps are the same as before. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? All right. It's like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Terrific. I think that's it. This song starts slowly in a meter of 3, so we're going to sing it nice and slow with no instruments. That's the concept. 2 times through slowly in a meter of 3, then I'll count us off. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're all in and we're up tempo, and we'll all get there together. Here we go. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Day by day, day by day, oh dear Lord, 3 things I pray. To see Thee more clearly, love Thee more dearly, follow Thee more nearly, day by day. Day by day, day by day, oh dear Lord, 3 things I pray. To see Thee more clearly, love Thee more dearly, follow Thee more nearly, day by day. 1, 2, 3, 4. Day by day, day by day. Oh dear Lord, 3 things I pray. To
see thee more clearly, love thee more dearly, follow thee more nearly, day by day, day by day, day by day. Oh, dear Lord, three things I pray. Here we go. To see thee more clearly, love thee more dearly. Keep that going. To see thee more clearly, love thee more dearly. Number three. To see thee more clearly, love thee more dearly. One more time. To see thee more clearly, love thee more dearly. Going on. Follow thee more nearly, day by day, day by day, by day, by day, by day. Beautiful. Wow. What a sound. What a sound, what a sound. Okay. We are going to reset ourselves here for a quick second. This is a song we've been working on for a few weeks, been learning how to sing harmony, soprano, alto, tenor, bass. You guys have been amazing with how you've done with that. Today we're going to kind of sing it like we've been singing it forever. We're not going to do really the review part. The review is kind of built into the song. If this is new for you, the soprano part sings alone. Then we had the alto part. We had the tenor part. We had the bass part. We all sing together. We've got some instrumentalists that play. And then we all sing together at the end. So the music is actually going to scroll by as we sing. So you'll be able to see top line soprano, second line alto, third line tenor, fourth line bass. None of the parts are particularly high or low. They're all pretty accessible. If you want to play it safe, sing soprano because that's the melody. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to move into the places because we're going to make sort of one big arc. I know in previous weeks I've had us get into circles in our groups. Today we're not going to do that. I'd like to have the altos start along this wall, and then altos are here. Then we'll have the tenors kind of meet them right about here and move towards the middle, and then sopranos here and move the sopranos around here, and then the basses will finish off over here. So if we all just take a minute, stand on up, pick a place to sing. Altos here, tenors here, sopranos here, basses here. Make one big U shape, shoulder to shoulder.
Tenor sections look a little anemic over there. I think we siphoned up all the tenors over to the instruments.
I'll be here the following week, and then I think it's the 20th.
All right.
I'm barely in the mix. Anyways, it's fine. It's fine. You can? I can. Okay, good. All right. All right. We are ready. So let's. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. So sopranos will start, joined by the altos, followed by the tenors, followed by the basses. We'll have an instrumental soloist while we sing on oohs. We'll all sing again. We'll have another instrumental soloist, and then everyone sings and plays to finish it off. So this is the Taizé concept of prayer and meditation through song, is what this is. All right, here we go. Mallets are ready. So ready. 2, 3, 1, ready, play. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Here we go. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Altos, Jesus, remember me.
Let's find one another, turn to one another, pass the peace of God to one another, blessing one to another. Well done. As you're being seated, we've got a few announcements to make. As you're being seated, a few announcements to make. As you're being seated, as you're being seated, as you're being seated, so today after the lesson, you can see What Are You Thinking is on Zoom. Next week's going to be a week you're going to have to make some choices. We will have learning conflict resolution where you can watch Sue and Maria have a fight and me moderate. And then we'll also, if you're a newcomer, have a panel, an introduction to the things that are going on in the community that you could be part of. But we'll also have drop-in Enneagram group. A lot of stuff going on next week. Volunteering at the men's shelter also next week in the afternoon, and workday I'll talk about in just a moment. The pizza that we have for the newcomers, we highlighted last week the conflict resolution. Here's what it is. You will come if you have not been to one before, and a representative from each one of the quadrants of the circle, and also some groups within those quadrants will tell you this is what goes on, and you'll get a chance to see what's going on in the community. So, you might not have recognized we have not fully moved in yet. I did find some stuff, and I thought, oh, there it is, recently. One of the primary things that we don't have yet is the use of the fellowship hall after church. We'd like to have a place where we can sit together, chat together, eat together. But you may have noticed if you've been down there, it's kind of jammed with tables. Yours, mine, and ours. All of the communities that are meeting here all had tables. They're all sitting in there, and right now there's not a square inch to sit in. So all that stuff has to go somewhere. But for it to go somewhere, we need to clear out some storage spaces. And so the folks at Ridge Road, they feel bad about that because they feel like it's their responsibility, and they're a little bit older, and all that stuff is heavy. So we've got to move some stuff out of some storage spaces so that we can put the tables and chairs that are not being used onto carts and put them into those storage spaces, and it feels a little daunting to them. So I'm going to come on that day. Normally Saturday's the day I get ready for Sundays, but I'm going to do that earlier so that I can be there on that day, and I am hoping that 12 of us will be there because I think they're going to be able to get 12, and if we have 12, that would be good. So could you come Saturday the 22nd? If you could, just wave your hand. Let me see. All right. We will get a quorum. That's great. So Lindsay, where's Lindsay? There she is. I told Lindsay about the lesson today, and for her, she said, this song that she chose became an exercise in reimagining, an exercise in rethinking. Say the word God or think the word God, we tend unconsciously to think out there kinds of thoughts, apart from us, discrete from us kinds of thoughts. So she imagined how we might hear this song if we shifted perspective to the divine within in here. So that's going to be a big part of our lesson today. So maybe imagine with her how we might hear this song if we imagine God as an inside us reality. Have a listen.
Is this, Jean, this one? Yeah. All right. There you go. Get set up. Hello, everyone. Test. Okay.
Oh, the vapor of it all. It's a chasing of the wind, the substance of the foam, so pale and thin. Let the veil of earth be stretched again. Holy, oh, behold the holy. Trees clap their hands for you, oceans they dance for you. Heaven taunts the hearts of men. We can feel it from within, the beauty of it all, the mystery, the swelling of a voice, a rising sea. Holy, oh, behold the holy. Trees clap their hands for you, oceans they dance for you. You are holy, infinite and holy. A billion suns rise for you, clouds paint the skies for you, mountains stand tall for you, valleys bow down to you, everything rising to sing all our songs to you. Holy, the impossible and holy. Kings become fools for you, kingdoms to ruins for you. Vapor finds ground in you, music finds sound in you. Everything rising, everything rising, everything rising, everything rising. Oh, come like dawn, like rain, like sunlight, bring this world to life. Come like rain, like breath, like springtime, bring this world to life. Come like dawn, like rain, like sunlight, bring this world to life. Come like grace, like breath, like springtime, bring this world to life. Oh, oh, oh,
Thank you, Lindsay. And so, as I mentioned, it's not really a conventional Easter lesson. It's, which bothers me a little bit, because holidays are a time when we want to do what has been done before. We want to rehearse the stories that we've told before. We want to reinforce the traditions that have gone before, to do again what we've done. There's something beautiful in that. And this is not that. So a little bit of a preemptive apology. You get a lot of good when you get me as the preacher man, and then you also get an Easter lesson like this. Oh well. So the lesson started looking for a song to help us learn to sing harmony. And by the way, very well done. And Doug then chose a song guaranteed to ruffle feathers. Comes from a Jesus story. On the cross, two criminals. Second criminal says, "Remember me." Jesus says, "Will do. You, me, paradise." 3 problems with the song, I've said, and these are also 3 problems with organized Christianity. Redeem the song, maybe we think differently about our broken religion. So today we're going to see if we can redeem that third one. 2 words show up in the story, kingdom and paradise, and both, for historical reasons, evoke in most people's minds the Western story about the afterlife. I am in the "this is so cool" stage, exploring the AI chatbots. So I asked ChatGPT to write us 2 limericks about the afterlife. And here is what artificial intelligence has learned about the afterlife from us. A zillion of our books, articles, blog posts. Here's the first. In the afterlife, we'll be free from all pain and misery. With loved ones, we'll unite in a world that's always bright, where joy and peace will always be. Thank you, GPT. Or, the afterlife fills me with dread, a place where the living fear to tread, eternal torment and flames for our sins and earthly shames, a place of darkness where hope is dead. A couple of weeks ago, a mom brought her teenager for a chat. There had been a bad experience at school. A teacher made a bold statement. People who don't believe X or Y or Z, and teenager didn't believe X or Y or Z, or at least wasn't sure. People who don't believe X or Y or Z go straight to hell, and the world will be better when they go. Get the non-believers out of here, burning in hell, and we'll be able to live the way God wants us to live. You might imagine, kid was bothered. So mom says, "Let's go see the preacher man." So I asked our young person when we were together, "What bothers you more about what happened? Is it that there's an in-group who can believe and an out-group who can't believe, and you're in the out-group, and so there you've been rejected? Does that bother you more? Or is there in the back of your mind a niggling suspicion that, oh, well, maybe teacher's right. I might be on my way to eternal torment?" And both, of course, bothered, but mostly, what if the teacher's right? How we think about the afterlife impacts how we think about and how we live this life. It shapes who we can be friends with and who we can't. It determines if we use our lives to make the world a better place or if we don't. It determines how we approach economics and housing and wages and equity. It determines how we treat the world and how we treat everything in the world. Now, when I was young, a book had come out that sold millions and millions of copies. And because of this book, a lot of people thought, counting from 1948, when Israel had become a nation, that the prophecies in the scriptures said 40 years max. And then Jesus returns, then the world will be over. Well, aside from why we would believe that or think that, if you think that, why in the world would you care about the environment? Why in the world would you care about pollution? You wouldn't, because the whole thing's going to go away anyway. Our afterlife story is very deterministic in how we think about what it means to be a good person, how we think about what it means to live a good life, how we think about what it means to be a noble human being. So I told our teenager, I don't know your teacher, but I kind of know your teacher, and I know what he thinks, and I kind of know why he thinks it. And I bet he's not a jerk. He's probably nice. I mean, he became a teacher, for goodness sakes. But I also bet that he thinks he has to say what he said to you because he thinks it's true, and he thinks that if he doesn't scare some sense into you impressionable adolescents, then he will have been derelict in his duty. Because you will then suffer for all eternity, and he will have done nothing to prevent it. Now, you should also know, teenager, just because he believes it's a true story doesn't make it a true story. His is not the only Christian afterlife story. There are earlier ones, and there are better ones, but most Americans only know that one. Well, today is Easter, and this day is all about what happens after death. Paul has two very famous phrases, a couplet of sorts. Death, where is your victory? Death, where is your sting? Very much about the afterlife. And embedded in the way that we Westerners Easter is our Western story about the afterlife. Nicely synthesized for us, thank you, ChatGPT. Pearly gates if you pray the prayer, fiery flames if you don't. What I told our teenager is historically accurate. The teacher's afterlife story, our most common American afterlife story, is not the only one, not the earliest one. It actually showed up relatively late in our tradition. We got that story after our religion's Western migration from Jerusalem to Rome, after we became the imperial religion of Roman conquest. Now today there's only time for a very brief history lesson. I put the afterlife chapters of the book into the app on the community bulletin board. If you go to the resources tab, you can read a lot more history, a lot more documentation. It's there in the tab, or you could get the book. If you want a hard copy, we moved. I lost everything, and then I just found them. I just found some books. I brought them. They're right here. You can get them for the cost, what they cost the author and the shipping. If you put $10 extra in the offering over the next few weeks, that would be great. You can also go to Amazon and get the Kindle version there for also $10. So here's the brief history. Jesus and the criminal were Jewish. That is a critical bit of information. That is an often overlooked lens for looking. And at the time, the concept of the afterlife in the Jewish world was not a cohesive, shared view. There was no shared sense of what happens when we die. So there on the cross, there in the story, in the air that they were breathing, were several themes about the afterlife. One way of viewing it was Sheol. It's often translated the grave or the underworld. Souls go to Sheol, souls go there, not to be punished, not to be rewarded, but really to get some sleep. They go there to rest up after a long, hard life. On rare occasions, they might wake up just enough to have a brief chat with the living, but for the most part, Sheol is where you go to rest. Now, another group had just been warming to the idea that, our historic figures, so faithful in this fight, resisting the oppressors, resisting Rome, resisting the Assyrians, resisting the Hittites, holding out for the day when we would once again be a free nation, once again be freed from the oppressors from the outside, they should get to go to the party when God finally delivers us. The Pharisees primarily thought this way. When God finally delivers us and we return to the garden, that was the Pharisees' idea of the afterlife, Jerusalem will return to the garden ideal. It was called Gan Eden, and the faithful should be there to see our final triumph like the after party at Endor. Those were the two main ideas. Sheol, the grave, get some rest. rise, see the after party, see when God finally delivers us. Now, a bunch of variations on both of those two main themes and lots of debating back and forth. You might have heard the expression arguing Torah. It is part of the Jewish tradition to go back and forth to try and come to the best understanding to get a clear understanding. But what there wasn't was a shared Jewish afterlife narrative. And Jesus, once given the opportunity to weigh in on the topic, deftly sidestepped the issue, responded in a way that almost everybody could agree with. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, he said, yeah, they're dead and they're kind of alive, maybe in a Sheol kind of way. But the afterlife, Jesus made it very clear, is not the point. The afterlife is not the focus. That is not what we're doing here. It's not what the word kingdom means in the story. It's not what paradise means in the story. Well, those two words, here's what they did not mean at the time of Jesus. They did not mean that. They did not mean the pearly gate, heaven in the sky, streets of gold. That idea just didn't exist in the world yet. That is not what was happening in the story from which our song comes. It also, we saw a couple weeks ago, didn't mean that. I said that the whole Jesus emperor vibe, I showed you some stained glass with sword and throne and crown, that's at odds with the person of Jesus. It's at odds with the teaching of Jesus. I can tell you how those things came to be, but they aren't what that's not a clear understanding of Jesus. This is the afterlife that Jesus and the criminal and everybody at the time was working with. It just wasn't clear. Now, we love simple and we love clear. We love it so much that sometimes we will sacrifice what actually is in order to get simple, in order to get clear. But in this Jesus story and in our song, the afterlife just was not clear. It was not simple. The Wikipedia article on this this phrase, Olam Haba, the world to come, the article says this: citing contemporary Jewish commentary of the time, it is impossible for living human beings to know what is to come. That's pretty much the Jewish worldview. It is impossible to know what is to come. Put another way, it is not clear, and it is not simple. Now, it got clear, and it got very simple after the Western migration to Rome. It got even more clear and more simple after Dante and after Milton. But when our tradition began, when our story happened, there was no clear, simple afterlife. It was surely not the organizing principle for the whole religion, and it was surely not what our teenager heard. Because again, that did not exist yet in the world. I mentioned in the first part, the magic of this story with Jesus and the criminal is that Jesus and the criminal together found hope while facing death, not having that. Without that, they found hope. Well, that resonates very deeply with me because I have also found that same hope without that. Today, I'd like to introduce you to some friends of mine. I met them quite some time ago, back in my late 20s and early 30s. They helped me a great deal on my own personal journey, but later when I realized the Herculean task that is set before our whole religion, that we have to have our own reformation, that we have to fundamentally strip down everything and rebuild it, they were very good friends to have. These are some of the mystics in our tradition, and they've become especially dear to me. I met John first. He helped me make sense of a decade of darkness and depression in my life. He showed me, Doug, this isn't just random suffering that you're going through. This is a well-worn path. Many have gone it before you. And there is meaning and there is context to put around this dark night that your soul is going through. You've heard me say, the point of pain is not to get out of pain. The point of pain is to get out of pain what we need to get out of pain. I got that from John. But I think my deepest affection is for Julian, She lived through much darker times than mine. She went through grievous loss, having gone through several outbreaks of bubonic plague, the Black Death. But she had had some semi-mystical experiences, visions, and stitching those together, she had come up with a very helpful, meaning-making narrative. She had a deep understanding, a much bigger picture, and she told it to me. Basically, she said, Doug, in the worst of human experience, this is a very famous phrase for Julian, all is well, all is well. In the worst of human experience, all is well, all is well. Now, that is very dismissible as batshit crazy. Because who in the world goes through the kinds of things that people go through and says, all is well, all is well? And I would have dismissed it. And I would have thought it stupid and naive, except part of me knew that it was true. Because I'd also had a semi-mystical experience. And you can read that in the last chapter of the book. The story I tell will be too long to tell now. Looking squarely at my worst pain, I had also seen all is well, all is well. So you'll also hear me say this from time to time. Yeah, I don't know what God is, but whatever God is good. We are safe. God is good. We are safe. That comes from my experience of Julian. What I loved when I met Julian was that she was saying to me, hey, it's not just you, buddy. Yeah, your experience, yeah, it's a thing. Let me affirm from history to tell you, yep, it's a real thing. But it's not just a you thing. You need to understand you're just not that special. This is an all of us thing. It's a way things are kind of thing. Now, Teresa, she introduced me to the breadth of spiritual practices. When we are talking about working the circle, especially the contemplative practices, you can thank Teresa. If you will be steady in the practices, she told me, you will see, and you will see increasingly the connectedness of everything. More one than two. Oneness is a better description of reality than two-ness. Thank you, Teresa. So, she said, do the practices and make them part of your life, and I've done that. Thank you, Teresa. Now, though Meister Eckhart is a sour-looking guy, he's also very dear to me because he told me, yep, Teresa's right, even though he was born 300 years before Teresa. Oneness, kid, it's just a thing. You got to factor it in, especially now that you're entering into this seismic shift that's going on in your religion. And I know, you feel two-ness, and I know you feel separateness, but I want you to know it's an illusion. I want you to understand you are one with the divine, and you are one with other people. Now, I included Frank and Tom not because they have anything to do with our lesson today, but because they told me that if you keep on this oneness-finding journey, you're going to start to prioritize social justice. Because your concerns are just going to expand so that it's not sufficient for you just to care about you and yours. All of us are oneness. You've got to care about the world. Well, our mystics pointed me to a path. Point us to a path. You've heard me say before, it is time in history for mysticism that used to be on the fringe of our tradition to come mainstream. Because if we're going to have a reformation, this is going to be at the center of it. Direct encounter with the divine. If we follow what they laid out for us, we will experience an underlying reality. Infinite love, some have called it. Something bigger than our five senses. Eternity in us, part of us. The sacred in the everyday and the mundane. Every one of them, and all of our mystical tradition, also had a profound take on death. They didn't talk much about pearly gates. They didn't talk much about streets of gold. But they did echo Julian over and over, again and again. All is well, all is well. They lived Easter. They lived death, where is your victory? They lived death, where is your sting? They lived death is not something to fear. And it wasn't because they had an incontrovertible roadmap of the afterlife. Maybe all that stuff that our tradition tells us is going to happen, maybe it happens. Maybe it doesn't happen. I don't know, and you don't know, and anybody who tells you that they don't know either. But what our mystics taught us, the same priority system that Jesus taught us, heaven to gain, hell to shun, is not the point. It's just not the thing. I suggested last week that we Google together the term non-dualism. I hope you did. If you didn't, try it again later today. It's a fancy term for what Meister told me a long time ago. I know you feel like discrete packages of separateness, kid, but that's an illusion. This is the default mode network in your brain and in mine. It's the part of us that stitches together our story, our experience of self. It's the part of our heads that creates a me. It's the part of our heads that distinguishes me from a distinct and separate you. It is the ego self generating part of our brains. Think about ourselves, and we're using the default mode network. Wonder if we are liked or if we are likable. Consider whether we are good or if we are bad, if we are strong or if we are weak. Construct this thing, live in this thing we call self. It's the default mode network in our brains. It creates and then it maintains our sense of self. It's the part of us that says, I am this. Now, Teresa didn't know about brain science, but she did tell us these practices that we do, all of them, but especially the contemplative ones, do them and keep at them and keep at them and keep at them and keep at them. And here's what you're going to do. You're going to start to quiet the default mode network. And when you do, you're going to be able to see and you're going to be able to realize that there is an underlying reality that our physicists tell us about as well. Everything is connected. You too. Because quiet the default mode network and the rest of our brain becomes able to perceive and recognize, becomes able to feel and to intuit oneness. Able to see, feel, intuit the everything connected reality that we live in. So I read this book a few years ago, Michael Pollan's book, How to Change Your Mind. It's now a Netflix documentary, be worth your time. And in it, the author describes several clinical trials that use chemicals that are also capable of quieting the default mode network. And one of those experiments stood out to me, or one of those trials. It was a psilocybin trial given to advanced cancer patients. Candidates for the trial were understandably anxious. Impending death will do that. They had the external pain of cancer in their bodies, but they also had the internal pain of anxiety and depression. So they went and they received treatment. Trained therapists, careful attention to set and setting, and the chemical did what the chemical does. It quieted down their default mode network. What stood out to me as I was reading the book was how those candidates began to describe their experience after the treatment. They sounded like Julian. They sounded like Meister. And they sounded like Teresa. Oneness, not two-ness. All is well, all is well. Still had cancer, still preparing to die, but all is well, all is well. They spoke, many of them did, about their sense of being connected to everything. They approached the world having quieted the default mode network, as our mystics have taught us to do, freed from the shackles that we don't recognize that ego is, less bound up in this construct that we tell ourselves that this equals me. Now, their ego self was only quiet for a few hours, but in that time, they were able to see something that they did not unsee when the experience was over. And what they saw was what our mystics have also seen. A remarkable thing happened. They no longer feared death. They began to say what Paul said. They began to say what Easter says. Death, where is your sting? Death, where is your victory? Not this. This. Quiet the noise of that part of our brains that tells us that we are our egos. The part of our brains that insists to us that we are separate and that we are disconnected. Quiet that part of our brains, and we are able to perceive what we couldn't perceive when the default mode network was in charge. We are more one than two. One with God, the mystics said. One with one another, one with everything. And when that happens, death is just not a thing. Now, I imagine you share this with me, but I cannot imagine what me is without self. Probably because I've got a default mode network running in my head. It's probably not even the right language for framing the dilemma. Everything is connected, gets bigger than the very concept of me or the very concept of self. But for me, I can't picture what me is if me is not a separate and distinct self. I can't picture non-ego me, non-self me. I can't picture fully connected to everything me. I just can't picture it. But thanks to Teresa, and thanks to Julian, and thanks to Meister, I don't have to see the full picture. I have had a glimpse. There has resonated deeply within me that what they're talking about points to a reality. I have heard what our physicists say about everything being connected. And for the rest, the part I can't see, I'll just believe for that. I think that's what faith is. All right, there it is. That is my non-traditional Easter message. But I do think, though it's not traditional, that it is inspiring. Because get a glimpse of what both mystics and physicists tell us is the underlying nature of reality. Just get a glimpse of it. And get a glimpse of that part of reality that our ego selves, that our brain tricks work so hard to keep us from getting a glimpse of. Quiet the noise of this very powerful part of our brains, this also very helpful evolutionary adaptation part of our brains. This was great for keeping us alive, great for keeping us hunting, great for keeping us gathering, but not great for discerning the underlying nature of things. Quiet the clamoring of that part of us and Easter. Death, where is your victory? Death, where is your sting? So indwelling divine, a glimpse. That's my prayer for us this Easter. A glimpse of the reality that we live in that is bigger than our ego selves. A glimpse of the reality that we live in that is better defined by oneness than by two-ness. That's my Easter prayer for our community. Amen. So you are a generous group of people. You're about to get the financial reports for both February and March, and you're going to see that we're behind. We're a little bit behind in our giving, but not very much. Mostly our expenses have been considerable moving in. There have been lots of expenses related to moving in. We probably spent $20,000 more just in the last 2 months than we would normally spend in a budget. So if you're behind, this is a good time to get caught up. And keep in mind what I say all the time. There's always a good return when we invest in community. We give our time, and we give our energy, and we give our love, and we give our dollars. The community takes those resources and gives them back to us in the form of an environment in which we thrive, transform, and grow. So we give at the top of our website. Please do that. After we dismiss you folks online, we're going to do What Are You Thinking here in the room. I encourage you to do it as well. You can do it on Zoom. The link is on the front page of our website. The link is also there in the YouTube notes. And the password to get into the Zoom, 1417, 1417. Let's dismiss the folks online, and then I would like to hear what you are thinking about. Please put our hands on our heart, and let's remember as we go, carriers of the indwelling divine, every one of us, love and joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness in there. And if you would, extend your other hand to our city. Let's look for opportunities to share what's already in us with the people that we live and work and go to school with, looking for opportunities to repair and heal our worlds. Amen. God bless you all. You are dismissed. The rest of you,